Hello everyone, this is Amit. In this video we'll learn how to create different type of HTML links. This video is a part of a series on basic HTML tutorial for beginners. I have created a pretty good HTML video that has been pretty popular, and I'm going to link into the description below or on the top right corner. So make sure that you check that out. This series is for the basic HTML. So we are not going to look into more advanced CSS type of HTML links, but we just want to learn the basics. And so here are the different type of links that we are going to learn about. One that is most common is external. We'll also look at the internal links. We will look how to create a direct link or a relative link. We'll also spend time on creating an email link or image link, also looking into bookmarks and button links. We'll also look what exactly the HTML link syntax look like. And so what are the different parts of the link? We'll go into more details. And we'll also look at some of the basic colors that it creates, such as when you create a link, what kind of color it gives and so on. Now, all of these can be changed later on, but it is good to learn the basic about it. So let's get started. So for this tutorial, we are going to use Notepad++ as our text editor or source code editor. You don't need to use Notepad++. You can use any text editor. It might be better if you use some more advanced text editor than Notepad. By the way, there's a difference between Notepad, which comes with Microsoft Windows, and Notepad++, which is a free open source and pretty popular text editor. If you do use Notepad++, check out my channel, because I have a video about how to download and set up for the first time. It is incredibly useful text editor. And I have a number of videos if you want to learn more about it. So make sure you check that out in my channel. I'm also going to give you a basic template for the HTML. I do expect that you have some of the basic for HTML. And so in order to make this video quicker, I'm going to give you this template, and we will only focus on the links, typing some of those parts. And if you do want to download that template, HTML template, I'm going to link that. I have a GitHub page on which you can download this basic simple template or a skeleton, and then you can also type along with me during this video and follow along. All right, so I'm going to post this link into the description as well as on this video somewhere. So make sure that you download that and so that you don't have to type some of the basic stuff and so on. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure that you check out my channel page. And if you like the content of this video and other videos, then make sure that you subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon to get notified whenever I post a new video. All right, so I have actually downloaded this index.html page on my local computer, local folder, and I just copied it into a C drive, and I created a folder called dev, and then HTML-links, and here is that HTML page. Now make sure that you avoid any spaces in the folder names, because that can cause some issues. So try to avoid those. And here is the file. If I double click on this HTML file, it is going to open a browser window. And so in order for me to add it, I'm going to close this. I just need to open that in a text editor. So I can just simply drag and drop on here, and now you can see that I can see the source code for an HTML page. If I double click on it, it should open this HTML page on the browser window. By the way, if you would like to look at the source code of any page, you can right click on it, and then right here it says views page source, and you can see it's exactly the same, right? But you can't edit this, and so that's why we want to open that in Notepad++. All right, so here is the preview of how it looks. So I have basically given you a skeleton for creating these links. We haven't created any links. All right, so let's create the very first link. And so here is our main HTML tag. This is the header tag. This is the body tag, which actually contains all the things that you see. Now again, as I said earlier, I do expect you to know some of the basics of HTML. So if you don't know, then check out my channel. I have the video about basic HTML, so it's better to check that out first. Okay, so I have the heading 1 and then the bookmark links, which we will look at a little later. Let's look at this external link, right? So in order to create an external link, you need an anchor tag or a tag, and the way in which you start is a, and then you need to give the reference, so it's href, right? And then let's just type https google.com, right? And quote, and then just let's say Google page, something like this. Now if you notice, when I typed, it actually auto completed this HTML tag. So if it doesn't work in your case, you need to go to settings, go to preferences, and go to auto completion, and there is this HTML XML close tag checked. If it is not checked, then you would not be able to have that. Okay, so again, this is the advantage of using it Notepad++, because it auto completes the HTML tag, which otherwise you may have to do it manually, right? So let's save this, and I'm going to preview this. So one way to preview is go here and refresh, right? So let's do that, and you can see that it created our first external link. So if I click on this, it should go to Google page, and there you go, right? So it is going to the Google page. Now let's go back. So you can create any kind of an external link, right? You can say maybe you want to change it to YouTube, right? And then let's say this, right? And let's save. Now one way to open this file into browser is also by going from view current file, and then you can open in Chrome or Edge or Firefox if you have any of these browser. So let's open in Chrome, and you can see now we created a YouTube link, right? Go back. So that is by far the most simplest external link. Okay, so let's look at the internal link. So there are times where you are creating an HTML pages and you want to link to some other page on your own site. For example, if you're on a home page and you want to go to About Us or Contact Us or any other gallery or anything. And so for that, we need to create an internal link, right? So internal link is any page that is directly in the folder that you are in. So here, if you notice, I have index.html. I have also created a page2.html. Now page2.html, let's actually see, is nothing. It's just the same skeleton, and then I just have a very simple link with the title page2, and then I have another link which actually let's create this, or let's keep it like this. Okay, so all I'm doing is hr is a horizontal line and then h1 tag. So let's save and let's preview that. So I'll go to view and Chrome. All right, so nothing fancy, just a page2. So let's create a link from here that goes to that page. Okay, so I'm going to go here. Again, this is just a horizontal line, and then this is the h2 or heading 2 tag. So again, in order to create a link, you just do anchor tag a href equals to double quote. Now in this case, you're not going to external link, so you're going to type the direct page name. So it'll be page2.html. All right, and quote, and then we will call go to page2. Okay, so this is the text that will show up on the HTML page with which links to this page2. All right, so let's save and let's refresh this. All right, so you can see it did create a page2. So let's click on that, and that should go to page2. You can see it is going to page2. All right, so if I go back again, if I click on here, it'll go from index.html to page2. Now if I go here, if I want to go back to my index.html, I should have another link here. So that's why I had that link, if you remember. So let's create another link on page2. So I'll say ahref equals to double quote, and I'll say index.html, and then I'll say go back. Okay, let's save this. So anytime you refer to internal link, the case is sensitive, which means I believe if you do uppercase, and let's try this. Okay, so refresh. So now it did create a link here. If you actually hover your mouse on it, you can see right here actually at the bottom the full link. It does go there. I thought it was case sensitive. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so let's refresh. But it's always good to have the same case as you specified, right? Just to avoid any problems, right? So now we have an internal link, which is right here, that goes to page 2, but then page 2 also has another link that comes back, right? And so let's check it out. I'm going to refresh, and I'm going to go click on this page 2. It went to page 2, and now go back. Now it's back to page 1. So I hope it is going back and forth, so hope it's making sense. So the next item is still internal link, but in this case we are going to create a relative link. Now the relative link actually works based upon the folder structure. So when you're creating a website, you may have number of files and you may have number of folders also. And so in order to just link to a specific file in different folders, there may be a time where you want to use a relative link. And so what we are going to look or link is, if you go to images folder right here, there is a test.png, there's an image here, and let's create another link. So now you should remember href equals to. Now here is an important part, because we want to create a relative path. Okay, so I'll do slash images, and then inside the images there is a test.png. Still not right, but let's say image background image link. Okay, so I'm saying that, okay, create this link to images and then test.png, which is right here. Okay, so let's try this, save, and let's refresh. Okay, so it did create the link, but if you hover over that, and if you notice the one at the bottom here, it says see images and test.png, right? See images, but ours is actually see dev HTML link images and test.png. So there is a little difference. And so in order to create a relative link, you have to use this thing called a dot, which means you are in current directory, right? So this means that you are in current directory, and then go to images and then go to test.png. Okay, so this is an important part. All right, so let's see if it actually works. So let's save. I'm going to go here, click refresh, and then before we click, let's just hover over it, and you can see it is see dev HTML link images, and then it looks right. So if I click on that, it should open that image, right? So that's good. We go back. So here we just learn how to create a relative link. All right, so the next one is there are times where you would like to create an email link, so that by clicking the visitor on your page or website can email to you. So again, it is very easy. Same method, href, and then you can give your email address, but you just have to start with mail to, right? One word, then you put double colon, and then you just say whatever your email is. So I say test@gmail.com, right? You can put your own actual email address, and then you say email me, right? And this is the anchor text. Okay, so I'm going to click save. Let's go to view, just to try this. So it did create the image email me, and if you actually hover over that, you can see it says mail to and then email. So if I click on that, it'll say, do you want to open this email into your default mail app? So if you are using Outlook or Mail or any other email application or email client, you should be able to open a new compose window, which will actually have the email that we have already specified. And so your users or visitors can email to you directly without just copying and pasting. All right, so again, it's very simple. You just do mail to, then double colon, and then your email address, and then it should come back. It should be opening in your email client, or not your, but your visitor's email client, right? Okay. Now let's take a look at this once more. I'm going to click, let's say, background.image. Now, one thing happened is I was on the page, my main page, which is index.html, and actually it just opened this image on the same tab. Now there are times where you don't want to do that. You want to create a new tab because you don't want the user to leave your main page. You want to open a new tab. Okay, and so here is how you can create a new tab. So we are going to do external link, but this time we are going to open the link in a new tab. Okay, so here is a href equals to, just will do same thing, HTML. Let's do facebook.com, right? And now you need to give another keyword, target equals to double quote underscore blank, right? And this is the syntax. Just remember that, actually, target equals to underscore blank, and then we can say go to Facebook page. Let's assume that you have a Facebook page that you would like your users to go to without leaving your existing home page. Okay, so I'm going to save. Again, the only difference is you just added this target so that it opens in a new tab. So let's go here, click refresh. It did create it, and now if I click on this, you will notice that my main page, let's close everything else. Okay, yeah. When I click on this, it'll still keep my tab, but it'll create another tab. There you go, right? And so many times people do that so that you want the visitors to stay on your home page. Again, just make sure that you don't overdo that, because you don't want to create multiple tabs when user try to open certain link on your site. But wherever it makes sense, you can use this, right? Which can open the link in a new tab. There's another type of link which actually uses a JavaScript. So without going too much into detail, here is how you can actually create a link for using a button. So sometimes you do see a HTML page has some buttons. When you click on it, it just opens a new window. So here is how you create a button. So far we always use a tag, but this time we are going to use a button tag. And it's let's see, what was it? Yeah. So you have to specify the event. So it's called on click. Whenever somebody clicks on it, we want the current document to be page2.html, right? And then end quote, and I'll explain it. So submit, for example. So here is a button link, and you are just, instead of href tag, it's keyword, we are using on click, and then we are specifying what will be the location of your document, current document, which is going to be page 2, and then this is the name of the button. Okay, so going to save. Let's go to view. Right. So here you can see it did create a button link, right, with this text, and if I click on this, you can see it goes to page 2. Now in this case we send it to page 2, but technically how you should do is, you may have a small contact us page and so on, and you want user to feed in that information, and then when they submit it, it should go to a page which says we received your information, or something like a submission page and so on, or submission confirmation page. But again, it's also one type of link. Again, it is using a JavaScript, so it is little out of scope for this, but it's good to know. All right, so now that we looked into external, internal email links, button links. Sorry, I'm going a little bit different from the list here. Let's take a look at the image link. So what do I mean by image link? So it's basically on your HTML page there is an image, and when you click on that image, it links to some other page, right? So let's go to our our index.html, and let's try to create a new horizontal line, and then let's call this h2 image link. All right. So what we are going to do is we will actually put an image here, and then we will, when we click on that link, that image, it'll go to some particular link. All right. So for that, let's start with our anchor tag. So ahref attribute is going to be https. I'm just, for the lack of better website, I'm just going to use YouTube as an example, right? And then maybe we should add target as a new tab, right? We want to keep the existing index.html as it is. All right, and inside this a tag we need to specify an image tag. All right, so the image tag starts with img, and then you have to give a source of that image. And so I'm going to use the same as what we have used here. So it'll be /images and test.png. And then you may want to give an alternative tag. It's basically if the image cannot be shown, it'll show the text here. So we can say example image link. Anything that describes what this image is, you can put it here. All right, so let's go. And then if you remember, the background image was pretty big, and so we don't want to make it really big, so we can specify width and height. So let's start with 200 pixel, and we'll play around it a bit. All right, and then you can add any HTML tag with this also. So this actually means greater than sign, and then something like this. This is same as when we write image, or sorry, like this, right? This is just a short way of closing a tag. All right, so we just created just anchor tag, and then inside we are going to specify the image. So let's save this, and let's just quickly view. Right, so it's actually, where's, yeah, refresh. All right, there you go. So if you notice what happened here, let's put it side by side. I only specify the width of this image to be 200 pixel, right? But the image tag automatically align or resize the image so that it'll be, the aspect ratio remains the same. Because if you remember, the actual image, which is actually right here, is, you can see 4000 by 2600, right? And so when we just specified the width only, the height didn't keep the same. It automatically reduced it to maintain the aspect ratio. So that's a cool thing. You can in fact specify width and height also if you need to, but for us, we are actually learning about links, so I think this is good enough. But what we want to check is when I click on this image, it should take me to the YouTube website. And so you can see when I put my cursor on the top, you can see it is actually pointing to YouTube. And if I click on it, it should open a new tab with the YouTube website, right? And so here, let's close this and refresh one more time. So you can see that now we have an image link which actually points to any link. So there might be a time where you have an image and you want your user to click on it and point to some other page. And so this is how you do an image link, right? So let's go back. So we looked at all these except this bookmark tag link. Now it's not often used, but it is pretty handy actually. And bookmark link is, as it says, it is actually creating a bookmark on your page. Now imagine you have a really large or long page, right? And you want your user to actually, you want to navigate your user in such a way so that they can click on the bookmarks on the top to go to a certain part of your code or page. And so that's where the bookmark links comes handy. And so here I already had in my template that you guys probably downloaded a place to put it. So let's create, actually in this case, let's create just an order list, so 1, 2, 3 and so on, right? So in order to create an order list, I can create this list item, and then here we want to specify that a link, right? So it'll be a, Again, all the link starts with a tag and href, right? And here you start with a pound sign, and then you specify the name or ID of a link, and I'll explain what it means. So let's say this is external, right? And we close this and we say external link. Okay, so we just created a link with an ID that should point to this one. And so in order for this to work, we need to add an attribute in this a tag for the ID. And so the way in which you do it is just put another attribute. So I'll put space ID equals to external. You don't need to put the pound sign at front, right? And let's save. And let's try one more. So by the way, Notepad++, if you want to duplicate this line, you just press Control D. Keep your cursor on the place where you want to duplicate. So I'll do Control D. You can see it actually duplicated this. So I'm going to call this internal. Let's do internal, right? And then this is an internal link. And then I need to make sure that I add an ID here. So a ID equals to internal, and save. And let's test it. So I'll go to our page and click refresh, and right here under bookmark we should have a list. So you can see it created an external link and then internal link. And when I click on it, you will see that it actually, in fact, if you look at right at the bottom, it says the index.html hashtag external, right? So if I click on that, you can see it already went here. If I go up, if I click on internal, it should point to here, right? So one thing you need to, sometimes it doesn't go all the way, and you might wonder why it didn't go all the way there. If the page is small enough, then sometimes it doesn't have enough space. But if you have a lot of text here, then you would be able to see it more clearly. And so let's continue to add others. So we'll do email. Let's do this. Control D if you remember. And then we call this email. Well, email, not image. Email. And then let's call this email. And then we'll do one more. We'll call this button. And then Control D. And then we'll do image. Okay. Image. Okay, so all of these are IDs that I need to add. So here I'll just add quickly an ID equals to email, and then button ID equals to button, and then here in our a tag we'll call ID equals to image. All right, Control save. Control S is Control save, and refresh. And now I have the bookmark links for all the major thing on this page. So if I click on button link, it just goes there. Again, the reason why it didn't go all the way there is because it is actually, in fact, let me make this a little smaller. Okay, and let's go up. And now if I go to button link, you can see it is going there. And so again, just to understand, if you have more text, it's of course this is useful when you have a pretty long page and you don't want people to scroll down, and if you want them to point to a specific place, you can use this bookmark link. So if I click on image, you can see it's going to image. If I click on email, it goes to well, I can put the a tag, sorry, ID into any of these HTML tags. So in our case, I put it on anchor text, so that's why it was like that. But anyways, that's what the bookmark links are. As I said, it's not often used, but it's pretty handy actually. All right, so let's go back and summarize our lesson today. And so we did all of these different type of links. The syntax, we have already looked into that, but let's take a look one more time. So just to summarize, if you remember, A is an anchor text that defines the link. That href is an attribute that defines the link address where it should go. The target is sometimes used or often used to open the link in a new tab. And then if you remember, if you want to create an email link, you just add mail to upfront. So right here, mail to, and so on, right? One more thing that you may notice is when you create a link, if it is unvisited, means if you haven't clicked on it, it will be shown as a color blue. So here you can see this is a blue color, right? Once you visit a link, it changes into purple. And the active link, that means when you click on it, for a moment it will change to red. Let's see. See, I don't know if you noticed, but anytime you click on a link which is considered an active link, it'll turn to red for a moment, and then it'll just go wherever it needs to, and so on. So and all of these, actually these colors can be changed using the CSS, but that is not the scope of this video. We want to learn the basics of HTML links before we can try and edit those things. So it is good to learn the basics first, right? And so that's what the default settings are. And in future, once you get more comfortable with HTML, you can take a look into CSS, which will allow to change any of these, any formatting of these links. And so probably we may look that in later videos, but for now I think this is good enough. I think we looked into very number of different type of HTML links. So I hope you like this video. If you did, click on the like button, and please add a comment and tell us what you want to learn, and I'll try to make videos for that. And also please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I post new videos almost every week about just HTML, Notepad++, and programming in general. And so please do so. And yeah, thank you very much.